Yancey has some stuff to say.
Yeah, if you think I'm going in and cutting this out later, you got another thing coming.
I mean,
yeah, Yancey's all in.
yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect.
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
That must be Jeremiah. Put some shoes on.
That train is off the track.
Who doesn't love the bouncy castle?
Hitler.
Just prepare to... yeah, so just prepare to be awash in undebeatable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You were listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. Today is April 16th, 2023, and this is episode 646. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials, and former season ticket holder. This show, we're going to discuss the playoffs, the play-ins, probably have a stat of the week, and maybe an under Google for you if we have time. Joining me this show are two of our three analysts, still coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from Asheville, North Carolina, he's our in-house bartender, mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles, John Colson.
What is up, Pacer fans? What is up, Undebeatables? So glad to see you guys. Also glad to talk to Pacer fans. We're past Pacer basketball, but there's still things to stress about, worry about, feel bad about. And we're going to enjoy the playoffs as well. So, NBA. It's a year-round game.
Absolutely. And from Boise, Idaho, out west, it's our enforcer, John Harper.
What is going on, fellas? Rare shout-out this week to NBA referees. Watched a lot of basketball this week, and I swear the most common chant in NBA arenas now is, refs, you suck. It's like... They don't suck every game all of the time. It's like everyone is just such a homer now. It's hilarious. Punctuated by a particular game this week in which the Kings beat the Warriors, and it seemed like they got every call down the stretch. So, hey, shout out NBA refs. Those guys are working hard. It's a tough job.
They are. We'll get into it later on that. But, shout out refs.
Somebody's got to do it.
And we got a...
It's true.
Yeah. We got a new segment this week that Colson dreamed up. It's called Refs You Suck. And it's a detailed analysis of all their shortcomings, personally and professionally.
I thought it was just going to be a montage of all the fans around the league chanting "Refs, you suck" in every stadium.
No, I tell you, I just do not envy that job. It's
so thankless.
It's so hard.
So thankless.
It's so hard. Ugh, God.
Like, who's not yelling at you during the course of a game?
The other refs, and that's it. And I'm guessing when they get on the horn with Secaucus, they're probably saying, "Hey, your review is coming up next week. You're screwing up here.
Yeah, you really sucked that up, bud."
Yeah. Before we get into the show, I'd like to remind you that you can support us, the longest running Pacers podcast, by heading over to patreon.com/undebeatables, and you can support our show for as little as $1 per month. Well, it's playoffs time, and
playoffs, baby. I would play the jingle, but I think the jingle involves Pacers in it. So
yeah, it's definitely. a Pacers themed one. I guess so. We want to get into the play-in. We'll go through that. But before that, the first thing I want to talk about is the team that did not make the play-ins, the Dallas Mavericks, and a pretty reasonable explanation is why they didn't make it was because they were sitting a bunch of players that certainly would have helped the team. And then when asked about it, Jason Kidd said that he had been directed not to play these players, and the NBA did not like that and fined them $750,000. And I guess Cuban is going to match this with a charity donation, even though I thought that the fines to the league were already charity donations.
Yeah,
they're they're tanking.
Cuban needs another write-off. The man's a billionaire.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, $750,000 is an awful lot of money.
No, it's not. Not to Mark Cuban. It's a non-material portion of his total wealth.
Oh, I agree.
It's less than $20 to you.
It's funny. I was watching one of these Dateline shows, and somebody was murdered over a $15,000 life insurance policy, and the host was like, $15,000 isn't that much money, and the lawyer said, $15,000 is the same as $150,000 to somebody else. It's like, no, that's not how money works. $15,000 is still $150,000. So in this case, $750,000 is still a lot, but to Cuban, it's nothing. And for what the organization is worth, it means nothing.
Well, right? and what the pick is worth, because there's a reason why they did this, because they had a top 10 protected draft pick that would have gone to New York had they made the playoffs, right?
Right.
So if they don't tank, they're going to lose that pick. So that pick is worth more than $750,000 in and of itself,
yeah, of
right?
course it is.
So they didn't even rise to the level of
what the pick
what they
worth.
Kept, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure,
I just yeah.
It was barely a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, but presumably Jason Kidd's fired, right? Because you can't go and set up in front of a mic and say that and get your team fined $750,000, can you? Because it was perfectly avoidable by just not opening your mouth and saying it out loud.
Yeah, being like, hey, Doncic has a calf strain, and Irving has mental problems. Like, he could have gone with that.
Oh, who'd have bought that? So far-fetched.
Well, they held up 5 players from this game, and yeah, I mean, I always go back to the motivations and the rewards for behavior, and they're not motivated to win in that scenario, so they're not going to win. Well, and
I actually thought the Mavs were going to win that game. They were making noise late in the fourth quarter in that thing.
You just have to be, I mean, the Pacers' best players were injured 3 weeks out. You just got to be smarter about it. You just got to, you can't be as obvious about it. Everybody knows we're doing it, but, you just don't go to the media and say it. So.
Yeah, you could be plenty obvious about it. You just can't literally say it out loud.
Right. He said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah. Many times. Many times.
Kidd is not the brightest bulb in the basket of tools or whatever.
I mean, you got to think he knew exactly what he was doing, but he was chucking his organization under the bus, which, again, is a very fireable offense. I would be shocked if he survives that.
Well, I think what I've always said about Kidd is that, if he doesn't know what he's looking for, he's going to find it. So.
That is definitely true.
All right, so Mavs not in the play-in tournament, but we do have some teams that do qualify. Out west in the 9-10 spot, we got the Pelicans and the OKC Thunder. And the 7-8 matchup is the Lakers and the Timberwolves. In the East, we've got the Bulls in the 10th spot and the Raptors in 9, and the Heat and Hawks in the 7-8 matchup. Colson, this series, or the play-in tournament's over, but what can you tell me about this year's version? And do you think for both of you, do you still like this play-in tournament? Do you think it works?
Yeah, no, it did create interest, I think, for me this past week. And it definitely created interest for me during the end of the season. There were just more teams in the mix. As a Pacer fan, a month ago, should we go for the play-in tournament? Should we try to tank? Like, I think it does work. It creates, more activity for all the teams further down the stretch. And were these games as dramatic as they could have been? Maybe not. But there were some great storylines. For me, I would think of. So I think we all picked the Heat to beat the Hawks in that first game. What I was struck by was how bullied the Heat were by the bigs of the Hawks. Specifically John Collins, but they just got out-rebounded by like 25. And the other thing that I was completely confused by, because granted I've only watched a handful of Heat games, mostly against the Pacers this season, how did they win 44 games without being able to hit a three-pointer? Both teams shot poorly from the three, but I saw, 10 wide-open threes that the Heat did not hit, and from their best shooters. I was very confused by that. They deserved to get beat in this game, and they did. Spoiler alert, they went on to beat the Bulls and get into the playoffs. So good for them. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And then the other storyline I thought was interesting was Bulls Raptors. Is it DR? Is that DeMar DeRozan's kid? She was sitting on the sidelines during the Raptors Bulls games, and she screamed every time the Raptors were shooting a free throw. So much so that ESPN had to find her out and did a split screen every time guys were shooting free throws. Amazing story, and you got to give her a lot of credit because the Raptors were 18 of 36 from the free throw line in that game. She just screamed at the top of her lungs every time they shot the ball. Because the internet's nasty, she had there were a bunch of threats against her and all this stuff, and because the world's a bad place. But she, I think, helped win the Bulls win that game. So, shout out, DR.
It's a lot of credit to give a child in the stands.
I mean,
I thought the plan was really entertaining. Outside of that Miami Atlanta game where the Hawks just blew their doors off.
They did. They just dominated.
The rest of the games were really pretty good. I thought this was really fun. The Hawks, that we've known all season that the Hawks are way more talented and have way better personnel than their record or the way that they were playing.
Or their previous coach.
Yeah, maybe. So, they picked a heck of a time to play their best game of the season, so good on them. I mean, all they won was, a matchup against the Celtics, and, we're not going to talk about the 2-7 game one because it was over in 5 minutes for all intents and purposes.
That was the nap game, so I didn't see it.
They got shredded. But yeah, no, it was super fun. Bulls Raptors was a great game. The Bulls, what did Levine have? 39. DeMar DeRozan had a great game.
Yep.
The
just too much Lakers game went into overtime.
Yep, Timberwolves Lakers went to OT. That was a super good one. LeBron and AD too much. Although, frankly, you look at how hard they had to work to take out the Timberwolves.
Sure.
I don't love their chances going forward here, but they did manage to pick off game one at the Grizz, which John Morant goes down and misses part of the game, heavily bandaged hand. I don't know if we've got any more information on that yet. We'll probably find out on Monday, unfortunately. But once Morant goes down, that becomes a must-win. So Lakers managed to steal home court.
What about Thunder beat the Pelicans? How do you feel about the Pelicans at this point? Because the Thunder, are a team that we've talked about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander as maybe a top 5 MVP candidate, but outside of that, they just have a bunch of long, young wings and they have no center. They go ahead and beat the Pelicans, who have more veteran, leadership. They've just got ideally a better team. I was surprised that the Pelicans went out in this one, I think.
I mean, they're without their best player. How am I supposed to grade the Pelicans, right? I mean, until they make a decision on what they're doing with Zion, I mean, you can't like that team very much.
I know, but I like CJ McCollum. I like
Ingram's been playing great. He had a great last month of the season.
Ingram was
no two ways about it. They got a Jonas Valanciunas, I guess.
Herb Jones. I like him a lot.
But I mean, for me, the Thunder are crazy stacked. I mean, Lou Dort is arguably the best perimeter defender in the NBA, and now he can score. I mean, Josh Giddey's a ton of talent. SGA's huge. I mean, these aren't nobodies. This is going to be, and they have 15 draft picks, first rounders in the next 5 years. This is a team that's going to win a championship.
Okay.
I mean, they've got all the talent, and they're going to get a ton more.
Smoked by the Wolves, though. I mean, absolutely smoked in the second play-in.
Well, I mean, shouldn't they? They're like the youngest team in the NBA, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe Houston.
And they don't have a center because everyone's injured. And they're playing against a team with Big Cat and Gobert.
So on both sides, the 7 and 8 seeds won and went to the respective spots. Do you think that the
Hawks managed to invert themselves, right?
Okay.
Go from 8 to 7.
Oh, true. Yeah, I guess so. One thing did change.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, they were the better teams, really. I mean, it might have been interesting if, the Mavs hadn't decided to, on purpose not go to the playoffs.
Right, pump the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been more fun to see them because, I love the Pelicans and I'm rooting for them, but, you just, I don't know. Zion Williamson just doesn't play basketball for them, right? If you put the Mavs into that spot, now you got a plan.
Yeah, I wonder, do we worry about the Pelicans moving forward as far as like the decisions they have to make with Zion? Like, I mean, he's played like 36% of his possible minutes or whatever in his career, or something like that. Freaking some ridiculously low number.
Yeah, it's a problem. Van Gundy on one of the broadcasts was talking about how he's played like more games than Embiid had at this point in his career or something.
Okay.
Which would be fine, except the Sixers were tanking the whole time. Like they weren't trying to win. The Pelicans are trying to win.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's really apples to apples. I mean, it gives you some hope, but I don't know. If you're going to pay a guy a few $100 million, you're going to need some productivity at some point out of him, or you're going to have to cut bait. I don't understand what else you do.
Yeah, the numbers are getting really concerning. Big and scary.
It's concerning for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see LeBron's sweet chase down block in the Grizz game?
He always gets one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got our boy Austin Reeves going wild.
Went bananas in the fourth quarter. You know what NBA fans love more than anything? Goofy white dudes hitting 3-pointers down the stretch.
and
I'm
talking
talking
trash.
mad trash. He got the
Maybe in
interview.
Indiana.
He was wound up. He got the post game interview, but LeBron kept him in this because that's who he is. He was dominant in the third. I thought hit a bunch of threes. Had some great defensive plays in. I think this is a huge win for the Lakers. I mean, if they want to steal this series, this is how you do it. And if John Morant is in fact injured, this is an easy, maybe not easy path, but it is a path for the Lakers to get out of this round as a 7 seed.
Yeah, certainly easier. I mean, that thing, honestly, that was close until late in the fourth. I mean, the Lakers pulled away and made it not look respectable at all. But it was a dogfight until...
Oh, yeah, they were up 1 with like 7 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then it just broke loose.
Yeah.
Cut Austin Reeves.
Sort of to run through the rest of the first round, that there have been some games played. Kings over the Warriors. Of course, Kings are the the upper seeds, so the Warriors are the underdogs here, right?
Joe, I think that's sort of true in the sense that they have home court advantage, but the Kings, no one on that team has any playoff experience, and they haven't been in the playoffs in 17 years. And the Warriors have 4 titles and have been in the, finals like 6 times. So I think Vegas probably has the Warriors in this one.
I would hope so.
And I feel like the NBA also realized that, and so the refs called a lot of fouls down the stretch. Seemed like ticky-tack ones to me. And the Kings pulled this one out. Now, did the Kings play very well? Yes. But they got bailed out a little bit down the stretch in my mind. I'm not saying there's a vast conspiracy theory. I'm just saying if you were, Adam Silver, and you were like, hey, what's the best case scenario for this series? Warriors are probably still going to win it, but if the Kings don't win game 1, it's going to be a short series. This young team needs the momentum. Let's make this happen. So, yes, I'm saying it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, they were lucky to get out of there with that one. Sabonis had an atrocious game. Darren Fox just lit it up all over. A heck of a game from him. And Golden State still had a chance on the road. Good look from Curry. Couldn't put it down. So,
I mean, I know
surprised not to
Sabonis
see
had
Golden State take game 2.
I know Sabonis had a rough time, but he still had 12 points, 16 rebounds. He was still in the mix setting all those screens.
I mean, at one point in the fourth quarter, he was like 1 of 9 or something.
Oh yeah, no. He had a tough shooting night, but he was still impactful. I know that Fox and Monk, Monk had 32.
Yeah, you can't count on Monk for 30 plus a game. You need Sabonis to play better than he played offensively.
I agree with that. I do think Monk is a good matchup for Golden State. I don't think they have a lot of people that can match up with him. So
And
I
Klay
think
Thompson can probably do a pretty good job if he has to.
Yeah, but who's watching Fox? I mean, I just think
DiVincenzo?
I just think Monk's going to continue to have a decent series, but I expect Sabonis to play better, and I think they'll go up 2-0 in this series, but I think they ultimately lose to the Warriors still.
All right, moving out east. Number 2, Boston Celtics defeated Atlanta in the game 112-99. Harper, what did you think about this one? Does Atlanta have a path to victory?
No, they got their doors blown off.
Yeah.
They need to make a statement in game 2 if they want to try and salvage something out of that series. Otherwise, they're set to get swept.
I think we spent a lot of time last week talking about the Hawks were trash, and I think this proved it. I was surprised by their victory in the play-in tournament, but yeah, they suck.
Well, Boston's a very good team, and Trae Young has now gone 8 of 49 over the last 7 games from three-point land, which is historically bad shooting from one of the best shooters in the league. So,
Well, if they're going to win every other game, maybe they win the next game. We'll see.
they gotta. It's a must-win.
They have
That
to.
was just after the egg that they laid. They're gonna have
It's
to.
a must-win. It was a blowout, but you're right. By the end of the first quarter, it was just it was not fun basketball to watch in that one. I think that was like one of the only games that wasn't delightful this first weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Did you enjoy the game one for Philadelphia and Brooklyn, where Philly won 121-101?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I know that it was kind of a blowout, but I was interested in the the Nets and seeing what they could do. And man, I don't recognize a lot of those guys.
Mikal Bridges was so impressive, though. What a game!
It was great, and they have a lot of guys that play hard, that are long, and yeah, there were guys that I hadn't heard of that were putting in work. So shout out to the Nets. I enjoyed seeing parts of that game, but yeah, you're right. The Sixers dominated that one for sure.
Last 2 games, the 4-5 series, 4-5 matchup, Cleveland versus New York. The underdog, New York Knicks, take game 1, 101-97. Harper, what happened to the Cavs?
The Knicks happened to the Cavs. I'll tell you what. The first half of that game, not so fun. It was looking a little sloppy out there. It seemed like some nerves. They were missing dunks. I mean, it was dunks and chippies and all sorts of stuff. Guys finally settled in and turned it into a good game. I definitely enjoyed it. Spider Mitch versus Brunson in the fourth quarter was really, really fun. Brunson just had a little bit more. But man, this is shaping up to be the series that we were hoping for.
Yeah, no, I was reminded by the Cavs' youth. I didn't think that Garland ended up with a decent game, but only 1 assist. Mitchell was the adult in the room and ready for the moment, and the Knicks had Brunson and Randall who've been to the playoffs before, and a Josh Hart, honestly.
Josh Hart was outstanding.
Yeah, and it's I've been praising Cleveland all year. Interestingly, Cleveland is the only team in the NBA that ended the season with a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense, which we've talked many times before is a recipe to get to the finals, to win a championship. Rarely do you win a championship if you're not top 10 in both, or you're at least perfect in one and at least half decent in the other. So being top 5 and 2 is a real chance to do something special. And I'm not saying they can't, but I thought their youth really showed when the lights got bright here. This is, Nick stole one on the road. And the only thing you can do as the Cavs is to come back, win the next game, and then try to go steal one on the road in New York. So the series is definitely not over. But the young kids gotta get their act together.
Yeah, you'd like to see a little bit more of an even effort from the Cavs. Not that Mitchell isn't a great player, but if he's got to jack up 30 shots a game in every game in this series, I don't like their odds very well.
I agree. I'm with you completely. Yeah. I need a little bit more from everyone.
Last matchup. Number 1 versus number 8, Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. Underdogs take the game 1, 130-117. Injury is the name of the game, right? Right here, Colson?
Well, I mean, yes, Giannis goes out. He basically, I think it was Kevin Love was trying to take a charge and actually should have, right? Technically, but Giannis hurt himself going down and they just called it a foul. Slammed on his spine, on his buttocks or whatever, and was down for quite a while. Got up and shot free throws but then was sent to the locker room. Miami was already up by then, playing really well, and I was just surprised by the force that Miami came with after a very unimpressive play-in tournament where they got waxed by the Hawks and then barely beat a Bulls team that's, I don't know, fine. If Giannis is injured more than just the second half of this game, this is a real series. I guess it's a real series anyway. I guess they say a series doesn't start until somebody wins on the road. And Miami did that in game one. So I always root for health, and I'm hoping that Giannis is fine on this one. But yeah, Miami steals game one.
Yeah, all the cold shooting that happened in the Hawks game was gone in this one. They shoot 60% from behind the arc in this, 15 to 25. The bad news for them is they get Tyler Hero down with a broken hand. It looked to be his right hand. That is not good news.
Is that Harvard? Do most people shoot with their right, or just?
I think most people, and I think Tyler Hero too. So.
Oh, okay. It's not good. It's not good.
No,
and also
not.
shooting
Although
a two-hand thing.
He canned a three out of the corner after it happened. He was just very unhappy going into the locker room, ending the second. Coach made him stay out. There was like 35 seconds left in the half, and he was going to the locker room. Coach was like, "Nope, you got to get back out there," and they made him play it out. So good on Tyler Hero for being a trooper and hitting a tough three out of the corner through a lot of pain. Got to give it up to that guy, even if you're not a Heat fan. But definitely not good news. I mean, they certainly got a lot of shooters out there with, Strus and Robinson, but that's a guy that they need.
130 points from the Heat, who don't score a lot of points. So 60% from the range will do that for you.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, and as good as Milwaukee is defensively, they're not the same team when Giannis is not there patrolling the paint.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked a lot about how outside of Popovich, is Spoelstra the most important coach in the NBA? He's excellent at his job, and he was ready for the Bucks. Now, did his job get easier when Giannis wasn't there? For sure. But they came in with this game with a game plan. They were already up. They were attacking.
Hot take, brother.
They came in. They were attacking. They were up. Milwaukee would crawl back into it, and then Miami would hit them again with a barrage. So, this was a great game plan. Yes, I am assuming that Giannis is fine, and this will be wrapped up in 6 by the Bucks. But this is a real series now, especially if Giannis misses some real time.
All right, the last 2 games we're recording on Sunday night, so the Clippers and the Suns are playing right now. There are no winners for this series. Both of these teams are I mean, nobody likes these teams. I don't get it, but so one of these jokes is gonna
win a game.
He's gonna win a series, and then the other one, the Nuggets are playing the Wolves tonight later on. I'll be asleep. So
yeah. Paul George out, presumably. It looks like for the whole series. So
yeah. Unless they get to the second round, he's out according to ESPN. So
not great for that team.
No.
What's his nickname? I can't remember. What is it?
What was it? It was
something P.
Sleepy P?
Probable P?
Probable P, that's what it was.
Yeah.
A post-injury P?
I don't.
Plays games 13 a year. That's it.
Yeah.
G13.
That's the PG-13. I like it.
I'm actually real curious about Timberwolves Nuggets, and I know that the Nuggets are a far superior team, in the sense that they got the number 1 seed. They have an MVP candidate. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon. It's a fantastic team. But they played 500 balls since the All-Star break, and granted they didn't have much to play for. I just wonder if they're a little bit rusty. I thought the Timberwolves laid the smackdown. They looked really good against the Thunder. Is there a world in which, they can string together 4 amazing games and upset the Nuggets, or am I overestimating a up and down Timberwolves team?
I certainly believe, now that you've said it, there's a multiverse in which it goes down. So I don't think it's this universe.
I think you're misunderestimating the. No, man, they don't have it. No. Nugs, it is.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm pulling for the Timberwolves, but they looked. They looked good against OKC. It's like not
without a center against 2 dominant big men.
Right?
Sure.
And the game before that against the Lakers, not really at all. So
they
need Anthony Edwards. Gobert missed that game because he hit his teammate during a game on national television.
And their other teammate, Jalen McDaniels, punched a wall and broke his hand, is out for the playoffs.
Yeah, he's out for the playoffs, so they're actually somehow thin up front because of that. Yeah, no, they're kind of a mess. And, Kyle Anderson is a fine player, but he shouldn't be your best player. And he has to be at times for them to succeed, and that's a problem.
All right, Big Cat, prove yourself. And this could be a yet another coming out party for, Anthony Edwards, because he showed himself last year, but maybe he can take a step up.
Tough start this year.
Yeah, it's been tough this playoffs so far. So, tough season for him, really. Kind of a. I don't know if he jives real well with the Gobert setup.
Apparently, Gobert was playing hurt. He just kept calling him a bitch all game. Love it.
Sounds right.
That's normally how this podcast goes, right?
What'd you say, bitch? I've been podcasting.
We edit most of it out, but Joey calls me bitch every other word, really.
What are you gonna do? Well, yeah, let's end up with a stat of the week here. This one, I don't know if you guys may have seen this. It's been out for maybe 3-4 weeks or so. But if you guys have seen that hip hop veteran Afro Man was in the news recently. You guys remember the songs back in the day?
Oh yeah.
But the news story is that his home in Ohio was raided last year, and for suspicion of narcotics and kidnapping.
Oh my!
They found neither of those things. Well, so here the cops warrant. I'm reading here from the article. Cops warrant shows the officers conducted the raid to seek evidence of drug possession and trafficking, as well as kidnapping, but no evidence was found, and no charges were issued against Afro Man. So they found nothing. Squeaky clean.
Seems like a chill guy, man. I don't know what.
Yeah,
I don't know what their problem is.
Yeah, why are they coming after him? Right? He's got no kids and no drugs. Leave him alone.
So he just got his own. His family. He's got his own children there.
I don't think that's considered kidnapping. I don't think.
No. I'm just saying those are the only kids.
I think you're allowed to have kids at your house if they're yours.
That's true. Look it up. Then, the interesting part was afterwards. Then there was lots of a fair amount of damage to the property. They broke there was like a gate to get in. There was they just smashed the front door, and took there was cash, that they just took that as well. And
They could have knocked.
what?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have to, and they didn't. And so what Afro Man did, he's trying to get these things, replaced because he didn't do anything wrong, and now his stuff's all smashed up. So what he did do was he took surveillance videos and he made a new song about it, and it's hilarious. And it shows the actual raid, and then he's selling T-shirts and getting YouTube views, and but
Because all of that's legal, right? They're allowed to just smash your door no matter what.
I guess if you've got the
got
the suspicion of, they had a warrant.
warrant,
If you got the suspicion that there's narcotics and kidnapping, then seems reasonable. I mean, they didn't find those
Is it
things, but-
reasonable?
I mean, if you really thought somebody was kidnapped, I mean, you would have to presume their life was in danger. So
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But
That's what I mean,
If there's if you end up being clean, they don't have to pay for any of that. They don't have to fix it, even though the state was wrong.
I don't know the particulars of that.
Pretty sure they don't have to do squat.
But then
That's not the stat of the week.
that's not the stat of the week. It's that the county now, the cops are suing him
For
because their likeness was used without their consent. It's from his surveillance in his own home. So he he's getting sued for like $25,000 for each for like
Likeness.
5 different police officers, I think, like from each different one. But they're suing him now because they said they've been subjected to death threats, ridicule, reputation loss, embarrassment, humiliation, emotional distress, and other alleged harms. And
but he
will
didn't.
continue
He didn't
to do
try.
so.
He didn't try to sue the state for everything they did. He just tried to make a video.
He did make it. Yeah, he made several videos, including one called "Lemon Pound Cake," which is about the lemon pound cake he had out on the counter. That the the cop that looked like maybe he would have wanted some lemon pound cake. And also, I'm not saying the cops were doing anything wrong here, but they did in the middle of the raid. They just disconnected his video system, the video camera system. So,
It's not a great look.
It's not great.
nah.
I'm doing everything above board. Don't want anybody to watch
Just
it.
don't watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like definitely not film that.
Anyway, I do recommend watching, at least one of them.
Oh, can you put this in the show notes?
For sure. I can definitely send you a link to get that done.
Did he write
Yeah,
a song
it's-
about it, or is it just?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
He wrote a song about it.
Is it called Lemon
And-
Pound Cake?
One's called Lemon Pound Cake. One's called Why You Disconnected My Video Camera. And another one's called Will You Help Me Repair My Door.
I cannot wait.
good stuff,
this
man.
is fantastic.
Yeah, it's fun, man. So. Anyway, there's also, not to spoil too much, but there's he's a musician and he's got tons and tons of CDs, and they're looking through every single one. They're looking for, I'm assuming, the drugs and children. Kidnapped children inside those CD cases.
Sure. That's where I put my kidnapped children.
Yep.
That countersuit's going to be a bitch.
Oh man. Well, you got to feel like he's up for it because he, called him to the carpet anyway. So. Anyway, that's my stat of the week. Definitely go out and watch that. We'll put the link in the show notes, or just go to YouTube and search for Afro Man, because I think it's
not hard to find.
It's not hard to find. Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
He is trending.
Yep. All right, team. Well, get out there, watch some playoff basketball, and watch some YouTube videos. I guess, if you're going to raid someone's house, get a warrant and cover your face. They could have worn masks,
I don't think you're supposed to do that, Joe.
if you're, I guess I'm assuming in this scenario you are a police officer,
Right.
right? Like,
So you're doing things by the book.
yeah. Or don't. How about just don't? People are generally pretty cool. Not always. In fact, I got a lot of. I got to tell a bunch of times when they weren't cool. I've read a lot of books where the people, like history books, people did messed up stuff. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the
talking
hope
about old
of
shit.
humanity. Yeah, we're talking about the future, and the future's bright, and people are nice.
That's right.
All right, we'll be back with you in the future here next week, later this week. We'll see. We'll see what we can get to you.
We're gonna root for health for all the NBA players. Want everybody to be.
Oh yeah.
This is the best time of year. I want the best of the best playing at full strength.
Yeah.
And the Hawks.
We want you want the best for everybody, and you want to win. You want to beat a full strength team. It's better for everybody. It's more fun, and you don't want to be the team that beat the Bucks with no Giannis. They keep you up at night.
I mean, I think history will forget that, so probably you should want to do that and then win a championship.
I mean, you got to take advantage. You got to take advantage.
Just win the game that's in front of you. That's all I can do.
I mean, yeah.
But we as general fans of the game, not rooting for that.
No, of course not.
No. I'm glad you're on record that you're not wishing any specific harm to people.
Yeah.
It's a bold stand on my part.
Yeah, this guy.
And
We
yell at
should
the
know
refs
general
every
harm.
5 seconds. It's ridiculous.
You can find us on social media. We're on Twitter at Undebeatables. We tweet about as much as NPR does these days. We're on Facebook.com/TheUndebeatables. Our website is TheUndebeatables.com. There's also a contact form there. You can use that to send us a message and email, which is probably the best way to get a hold of us. Shout out at TheUndebeatables.com.
Yeah, if you're trying to reach us on Twitter, that ship has sailed, I think. For the architect, Donnie Walsh, and our once and always Hall of Fame coach, Bobby Sick Leonard. Turn out the lights, the party's over.
Very.
It was a beaut.
Doing it, came.
Up and down. I like it.